Hey guys, Godfather of Anxiety here. I just wanted to do a short video today about managing external stress and the importance of identifying what you can control and what you can't control. So, a lot of what I talk about on my channel, guys, has to do with anxiety disorders, obsessive compulsive disorders, whatever the problem might be. It is a problem with our brain chemistry, hyperactive amygdalas, heredity. There's a number of factors contributing to the development of these anxiety disorders. But one thing that I don't think is talked about enough is how do we deal with the actual external stress in our lives? So things that don't have anything to do with our condition. This isn't going to be a long video, but I think it's an important video to do because one of the most important things is differentiating what we can control and what we can't control. So there are, and I'm going to give you guys some examples, but there are, some things you can't control. You can't control world events. You can't control the weather. You can't control the actions of other people. So, in dealing with things like that, you have to realize that you can't control them. Now, for me personally, my faith helps me to deal with the things that I can't control. And for those of you out there, a lot of you are probably familiar with the Serenity Prayer. But that is an essential element in managing external stress. Because if you can't control it, guys, you have to just leave it be. In my case, I leave it in more qualified hands, at least according to my belief system. So now, as far as the stress that we can control, this is where you can have a profound effect on the way that you deal with stress. I'll give you a for instance. So let's say you lose your job, right? That might not have been anything you could control. Maybe the company's downsizing. Maybe there's cutbacks and you've lost your job. Well, that is something that you're going to have to, you're going to have to deal with that. But how you deal with it is very important. So if if when you lose your job, you don't put in applications, you don't seek another job, you don't maybe think about taking secondary education that you didn't take while you were before you gained employment. See, these are plans of actions, and they're so important for people like us who are control freaks. So the worst thing we can do, if you are prone to having an anxiety disorder, the worst thing you can do when life hits you in the stomach, or like with a job loss or something like that, is sit around and I don't mean this in a bad way, guys, but just like sit around and sulk. That does not help your condition. That's going to make you think about it. It's going to lower your self-esteem. And it's going to make it more and more difficult to start doing the things you need to do eventually just to live your life. So we need to realize, okay, now this was out of my control, like losing a job or, maybe a health issue too. You have to have your gallbladder removed, or you have, some other health issue that isn't life-threatening, but forces you to change your lifestyle a little bit. Well, so, if like in my case, I hurt my shoulder. I tore my rotator cuff in February. I could have said, well, I can't exercise. I can't do a lot of the exercises I like to do at the gym, so I just won't lift. I won't work out. Well, that would have been very bad for not just my physical health, but my mental health. For me personally, there's a huge correlation between staying physically active and my mental health. So what did I do? I exercised around it. I didn't try to re-injure myself or hurt myself more, which can be tempting for people with my wiring, but I didn't. I worked other muscles around it, and and I was able to maintain at least some level of physical fitness during it because I didn't allow it to, just discourage me to the point where I stopped exercising. So same thing with a job. You lose your job. That's terrible. That's terrible. Take, however long you need to grieve, a day or two or whatever, and grieve, but then take action. What action can you take? And even if you put in 20 applications and you don't get a job, or even if, when I was exercising, I realized, boy, my left shoulder, I can really see that it's atrophying or whatever. But just the fact that you're taking action is so good for your mental health, especially if you are prone to anxiety disorders, because you need to have some level of control. Guys, we don't control that much in this life, but we do control our actions. And that's what's going to define us. That's what's going to make us define whether we're happy or miserable, whether we accomplish things or we accomplish nothing, is our actions. So, the purpose in the video is, guys, if you can control something, even if you can't fully control it to the extent possible that you can. It's really important. Take those first steps that you can take. And worst case scenario, when you lay your head on the pillow at night, you can go, I did my best. I tried. I lost my job. I've tried to do this. I've tried to do that. I hurt my shoulder, but I still went to the gym. I'm just giving you guys a couple of examples, but there's so many out there. It could be the loss of a loved one. We couldn't control that, but we can control the way we react to things. We can control, and if we do have some element of control, it's important to control that element. It's important to do what we can so that we feel like we've done our best, and it'll also keep us feeling somewhat in control of our lives. The worst feeling in the world is when you feel like no matter what you do, you can't affect anything. Like your actions don't matter. That is the worst place to be. And those of you with clinical depression, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Everything seems hopeless when you're clinically depressed. It could be a sunny day. It could be friends and family together, and there's just that emptiness, that hopelessness. And you guys, you don't want to feel that way. So what I encourage you to do is to always look for something, an action you can take when there is when we're just, first of all, guys, if you can't control it, like I said, it will do literally no good to think about something or to perseverate on something you can't control. It will do no good. Secondly, if you can control it, but you can't fully control it, these circumstances, control it to the extent that you can. That little bit is going to be huge, huge in not allowing your mental health condition, your anxiety, your depression to spiral. Doing your best, putting forth the effort, even in a small way, to the extent possible, is so much more beneficial than sitting around and just, basically, being paralyzed with despair. It's just not a good place to be in. So, and when we do things, when we take positive actions, whatever they are, guys, it'll give you some solace. It'll give you a clearer and cleaner conscience to be able to lay your head on the pillow and say, I did my best. It'll give you an element of control that we all are so desperate for, especially those of us with anxiety disorder. So, just wanted to make this short video. Guys, don't give up when, first of all, don't be consumed with things you can't control. It's pointless. and all it'll do is ruin time that you have. If you can't fully control something, make a plan about the elements of it you can control and control them to your best extent. And obviously, if you have the ability to control a situation, don't sit around. Like, you have a mental health issue, go get treatment. You have, you're battling, right now, the economy is tough. It's tough to make a living. Take action. Do what you can. Adjust your budget. Whatever you need to do. Anything you do where you realize you're having an effect on the outcome will be really good, especially if you guys are battling anxiety disorders, obsessive compulsive disorder, or clinical depression. So that's about all I wanted to say, guys. It's all about controlling what we can control, differentiating the two, whether we can control something, we can't control something, or whether we can partially control something. And these are all circumstances we may find ourselves in, and how we deal with those circumstances will have a huge impact on our mental health, our recovery from anxiety disorders. So, guys, thanks so much for the engagement with the channel. I am so grateful. Well over 600 subscribers now. If you know anybody who's experiencing anxiety, depression, have them take a look at the channel. Guys, thanks so much. And until my next video, take care.